G'day folks, my name is David and I'm a local born and raised. I was born in Cairns in the state of Queensland in this big country of ours called Australia. And Australia is a large continent, and back in the day when we first started touring throughout the world, it was still known as the last frontier. Now, I did all my schooling here. I went to a Seventh-day Adventist church school, Cairns State High School, and in 1979, I finished grade 12. I wanted to venture out into the big wide world, and I went to a place called Alice Springs. And I worked out there for 3 years. I worked on the railways, I worked at an Aboriginal medical centre, I played rugby league, and I was also a pest exterminator. Now, like my fellow brothers and my older cousins, I could have also cut Cain, but I read in the Bible that Cain killed Abel, and I thought, no, I'm not doing that. I'm going performing. So I wanted more out of life, so I went to Perth, Western Australia, went to Teachers College, and that was great. And I did that for a few reasons, because my mother, she was born on a mission. And on that mission, it was run by the Seventh-day Adventist Church. My grandmother, she was forcibly removed from her homelands, her traditional homelands, on a place called Maytown on the Palmer River. She was only 15. She was taken away from there, taken by horse and cart to a place called Cooktown, then by boat down to Port Douglas, and she was taken then to Mona Mona Mission, which is 18 kilometres the other side of Kuranda. Her other sister went to Yarrabah, and the brother went to Palm Island near Townsville. My mother was born in 1922. Now, this gives you an idea how big this country really is. But on my traditional country, I'm Western Yallinji. And on my dad's side, I'm an Uruman man. 6 hours southwest of here, Savannah country. So you can imagine being taken away from Savannah country. It's raw and oxides, rock art, and taken from that country to rainforest. Very diverse. And my mother was born in 1922. She was the eldest of 9 kids, 5 brothers and 4 sisters. She lived there, and, you know, it was a Christian mission. And it had good Christian values. However, my mother was a very, very strong-willed black woman. And she didn't take too kindly to being told what she can do and what she can't do. So in 1956, she walked off the mission with my 2 older brothers and a sister, and she walked all the way to Kuranda. She got a job at the, what we say, the bottom pub or the hotel. She did housekeeping there for minimal wages. And in my hand here, this is my mother's original certificate. It's an exemption card. Without this card, she'd be sent back to the mission. So this was her passport to live in this own country of ours. I was born in 1962, and Indigenous Australians did not vote in this country until 1967. Realistically, for the first 5 years of my life, I was still under the Flora and Fauna Act. So I was considered a plant. And that was probably a turning point for my mum, because my mum watered that plant to ensure that I grew up to become a global messenger for Australia and my mob. She reminded me at a very, very early age. She says, David, without your culture, you are like a tree without its roots. So in today's society, we as Indigenous Australians have got to learn to have our identity, learn language, learn our moieties, know where we come from. It's important. We've got to have an education to survive in today's society. 1979, I left home, went to Perth, I came back home. In 1985, I had this incredible opportunity to travel to the United States. And I travelled there for 6 weeks, travelling from the Napa Valley, San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego. And it was great, I enjoyed that. And as I said, folks overseas at that stage still thought Australia was the last frontier. However, they sat down and they watched this bloke up on stage being a brolga, a crane, kangaroo, cassowary, emu. And flying home on the plane, it made me realise that folks overseas show a much greater interest in my culture. There are a lot of fellow Australians who need to be reminded that in this country we have the world's oldest living culture that has survived countless generations. Your typical Aussie, he's too interested in worrying about footy, Vegemite, blonde-haired surf boys, pies. And so I was on a mission. My mum was from a mission, and I was on a mission to educate people about who we are as Indigenous Australians. And I'm a proud Yalanji and Ngurumin person. So my mum was from this mission here. These were her little houses that were at Mona Mona. This is her mum and dad, and that's my mum, the tortoise girl, and my other Aunt Rose and Auntie Mel. Now, on our travels, it doesn't matter where I travelled, the didgeridoo became attached to me. And very subtly, I'd get into people's ears and I'd say, what's a didgeridoo? Or they'd ask me the question, what's a didgeridoo? Well, a didgeridoo is a tree that's been naturally eaten out by termites. It's the oldest wind instrument in the world with the flute. What you've got to do next is just cut into the tree and you'll find that tree is hollow because the inside's been eaten out by termites. The next step is to cut it down, get a long stick and clean out all that inside waste. Then you strip the bark back. You clean it back to the bare wood. Then, if the mouthpiece is too big, then you apply some beeswax. And you put the beeswax on top to mould to suit your mouthpiece. My mouthpiece is a 50-cent piece. Any bigger, it's too big. Any smaller, it's too small for me. So it's got to be a 50-cent mouthpiece. And then you can either leave it raw, you can stain it if you wish, and then you can paint it. There's some painted didgeridoos. Now, in 1992, in 1997, I co-founded the Jabbergai Dance Theatre. And we started that as a need to preserve our culture and to educate people that even though we've retained our traditional cultures, we also live in the modern times. And at that time, we were doing travels around the world on behalf of the Australian Tourist Commission, and we'd travel all over the world. And these are just a bunch of young Aboriginal lads from a place called Kuranda. You jump on a plane, next minute you're in Frankfurt, next minute you're in Sweden, next minute you're in Rome. And we do our bit to promote Australia, and it was fantastic. In 1992, I left to pursue my own career, and that was a musical career, and did some film work and some documentaries. And I was very, very fortunate to have toured with a Greek composer called Yanni, and we performed at the Taj Mahal and the Forbidden City and the pyramids, and that's not bad for a little bloke that comes from the region. I got to perform and act with someone like Marlon Brando. Who gets to act with Marlon Brando? And so I had these opportunities, and I've always been inspired by someone like Marlon Brando, because Marlon Brando is a person who hasn't used his charisma and who he is as an actor to promote Indigenous cultures all over the world, the minorities. So until the day he passed, we stayed in touch. You can do these sounds in the didgeridoo, going back, kookaburras, kangaroos and dingoes. And the didgeridoos. You've got to just vibrate your lips very softly. Use your voice box. And the most important thing is you've got to blow down the didgeridoo and suck air through your nose at the same time. So you're doing something like this. And so by doing this, I can play for as long as I want to. They always say I'm full of wind. These are just some shots of me on stage, and now I do a lot of cross-cultural awareness, and I love what I do. This year I was, by the James Cook University, I was presented with an honorary doctorate, and very, very proud of that. And yes, I've been inspired by a lot of people around the world. And I'm an artist, so I do what I do, and I paint artifacts. I grew up in I was very fortunate to grow up in a family that did arts, and we made artifacts and we painted them, etc. That's me with my cap. I'm very, very proud of that. And as I say, I'm very inspired by people who do what they do. But what's very, very touching for me, some years ago, my two grandfathers were given an honorary doctorate. These two old fellas, they inspire me. And if I can inspire the next generation, and I don't care who you are, red, white, black or brindle, we all bleed red at the end of the day, folks. I've got a daughter. She's 21 now. We've tried to teach her to live in today's society, but also know who she is, her identity. She graduated from QUT Brisbane last year, and this is her and her adornment, so I'm very, very proud of her as well. And I'll just come back to my mother's exemption card. In this world we live now, my favourite songwriter is an Australian person called Paul Kelly. And Paul Kelly, some years ago, wrote a song called Special Treatment. And I've always sung that song, and I like Special Treatment because the words ring home to me. And I'll sing it for you now. Grandfather walked this land in chains, a land he called his own. He was taken into town and given another name. He got special treatment, he got special treatment, very special treatment. My father worked a 12-hour day, working on the station. Very same work, but not the same pay as his white companion. He got special treatment, he got special treatment, very special special treatment. Mother and father, well, they loved each other well, and together they could not stay. They were split up against their will until their dying days. They got special treatment, they got special treatment, very special treatment. Mother gave birth to a stranger's child, a child she called her own. Strangers came and they took away that child, took her to another stranger's home. She got special treatment, she got special treatment, very special treatment. I never learned my mama's songs, I never knew my name, I never learned my mother's tongue, I was raised in shame. I got special treatment, I got special treatment, very special treatment.